Hello, my friends. LaRuffa here with another straight up solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at the expansion for Anno 1800, or the extension, I guess is what it says in German. I'm going to talk to you about what this expansion adds and comment on the solo campaigns and scenarios, etc. And then let you know what I think. So let's get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you have, I really do appreciate the support. There's no doubt about it. So, what is this game? What does the expansion add? Well, first of all, I just talked about the mechanics. This board right here is brand new. These gears are brand new. And how do I get these gears? Well, I get them by fulfilling these innovation missions, if you can see here, by basically producing this, and then I can claim during my turn one of these cards. They're worth 2 points at the end of the game, and you get 3 gears, or 2 gears. I think it's just 3 or 2. And when you do that, you can, on your turn, spend those gears in addition to your main action to either build another industry, like you normally would, fulfill one of these basic cards here, ignoring any of the requirements, or fulfill one of these cards right here, ignoring the requirements. And then finally, if you spend 4 of them, that'd be 1, 2, 3. If you spend 4, you could take a full other turn in addition to the turn you just took, okay? And with the expansion, you're basically going to do 1 main action. You can also do 1 innovation fulfillment action and 1 gear action. So instead of doing just 1 thing per turn, you could potentially do 3 things. So that's the first and the biggest change. The second thing is the expansion does add some more of these different job cards, although I don't have them. I'm not holding them in the box. But these job cards are, or it depends on the translation. I've heard job cards, I've heard mission cards, I've heard, what else do they call them? Objective cards, perhaps. Where are they? Anyway, they're in the box. But they had a couple new ones of those, which are fine. They're interesting, and they kind of spice things up a little bit. You're only going to be using those if the campaign calls for you to use them, or one of the scenarios calls for it, or you play the kind of like the sandbox, beat your own score mode in the solo way to play this game. So that's another thing that adds. The other thing it does is it changes the trade rules, or at least now maybe this happened when they did the solo before, I'm not sure. But the trade rules now are thus. You can trade in this game up to 4 of these blue resources, 3 of the red ones, and 2 of the purple. And in order to do that, you have to have all of the requirements fulfilled or have traded for the requirements in order to get there. So for instance, if I wanted to do to trade for this, I'd have to already be able to produce these refined boards over here, right? You get to produce steel from the beginning, but you'd have to be able to do this somehow. And in order to do that, maybe I built it already, or maybe I've traded for it, okay? And then you also have to fulfill any of the, like this one requires an inventor. So you'd have to have that to spend that too. Plus, you have to pay the gold now in addition to the trade tokens listed on the board. So if I want to trade for a red resource, I'd have to pay 2 trade tokens, but I also have to pay 3 gold. So it makes it a little more expensive, which I think is fine. But I like how they refine that. That makes sense. And again, I never played the official solo mode. I made my own because it wasn't published in English a long time ago. So this is kind of all new to me, but I like how that works. And it's clear that the solo designer is expecting you to leverage those trades in order to be competitive in accomplishing your scenario goals, okay? And so they talked about that. The other thing they added was these hangars, and the hangars basically just let you build different ships. Instead of ships, they let you build airships. Airships are a bit more powerful. They're a bit more, they give you points at the end of the game, and you replace the level 3 ships in the level 3 shipyards with the hangars to do it. They function pretty similarly to a trade ship or to like a ship that has the combat on there. So that's, I think, the smallest of things in this, and maybe slightly gimmicky, so to speak, of just like, okay, that's just your usual steampunk-esque kind of thing. It has the least impact. And then the last thing, which you don't even play with when you do solos, are using patents. And patents are sort of like blockers for trading, I think. But I'm not even really looking into them too much because they don't apply to the solo at all. Now, what else do you get? Well, you get 6 scenarios. And again, if you speak German, great. If you don't, like me, you got to find this translated someplace online. But they give you 6 scenarios to try, and each of the scenarios has specific setup and a specific win-lose condition. In this case, I have finished and lost the first scenario of the game, having not fulfilled a bunch of these cards because I way built out more than I should have. I didn't nearly get the innovations going fast enough, and just got smoked, right? And this is, as usual, the scenarios, you can expect them to be a strong efficiency puzzle, all right? You're going to want to be as efficient as possible, and you're going to want to use your actions as cleverly as possible, and you're definitely going to want to get those innovations going. You have to do 10 of them before the end of the game, all right? I only ended up doing 2. You need to at least do 10 in this first scenario. Plus, there's also these riot tokens, which are new in the expansion, which means you get one of these, if this guy's in play, for every one of your cubes that have not gone to work. It's like a riot or an unrest or something like that. So you can only have a maximum of 20 of those at the end of the game, too, if you want to win. So you got to do all your cards. You got to do 10 innovations. You've got to have 2 inventors, and you have to have no more than 20 of those cards. And if you do all that, then you win the first scenario. And each scenario has different things going on. But then at the end of the game, it basically sets up a way to do a beat your own score full solo mode. You play with everything. You play, except for the patents, but you play with everything, including the 5 mission, challenge, whatever you want to call them, cards. And you just basically try different strategies to beat your own score in a specifically timed game. And the game is timed by this deck right here. And the solo mode will set up a kind of like a timer right here. You can see in this picture, right? It'll say you put this many cards on top of this, and at the end of every turn, you're going to discard one of those. And in the case of the special rule for the first one, if any of the resources listed here match anything you can produce, you get 1 gold. And that helps you feed the gold that you need for trading, because otherwise the only way you're getting gold is through these kind of cards, and that doesn't happen as often. So all that works really well, and you can then finally play this game solo. You can do it with the different scenarios, which are giant puzzles, really, and or you can just play the sandbox beat your own score mode. So let me tell you what I think about it. So to me, having never played the official solo mode before, because I didn't get, it's a long story, but I basically just played my own. I did appreciate the clarifications and the changes that the solo designer put in here, and it was really good. I like the trading. I like the constraints of only certain things. I also like how he specified you've got to have a specific path to get to those resources, and so it made that much more, it just made it more deliberate, more fun. I like that. I also really liked that he expanded the puzzle in this game by adding the innovation cards. Basically, they're just glorified ways to produce more contracts to get these gears and do the gears will give you more actions you can take on your turn, so to speak, which increases the puzzle, which increases the efficiency, which increases the difficulty of trying to get it all done before the end. But I think that's really cool, and I enjoy that, and I don't think there's anything problematic. I wouldn't say that any of the innovations feel like, oh, wow, this is really neat. They're all just a match game from what you produced as far as the goods into a card that gives you 2 or 3 gears and some points. That's it. It's nothing too extravagant. It's not, they could have called them contracts. You could have called them anything, right? But it's more that matching game that you got. So it doesn't really like blow your mind away with a brand new mechanic by any means. But what it does is it adds a way for you to start to take more involved turns. There's more options for you to try to complete contract cards or your population cards faster, which is cool. It gives you some more ways. It makes the game less linear in a lot of ways, which I like. But in general, this game is still the same feeling of a game. It's still one massive cube conversion optimization puzzle. And if you like that, and if you like the original because of that, and maybe you've played the solo, this gives you more ways to solve that puzzle with more variety. but it doesn't necessarily blow away the whole thing. It's not like this expansion is going to add tons of different rules, but it does add those fun scenarios, which is really cool from a solo standpoint, and it adds a very strict rule set to play the sandbox to beat your own score, which is also really cool. So if you wanted to make it work with the German and figure out how to get a translated copy of the rules from online or whatever, I think it's worth your while if you like puzzly optimization games like this. If you were ho-hum about the base game, this isn't going to somehow change your mind, I don't think. I think you either like it or you don't, and it's not going to flip you one way or the other. For me, I like the base game. I've actually kept it for many years, and I haven't played it for a little while because I was waiting for the official stuff, and then I got distracted. But when I finally found this solo came out, or the expansion came out and added a little bit to it, I looked into it, I read the rules, I said, okay, I can get this for a reasonable price on Amazon. I did, and it came, and it's worth it to me. And yeah, the German is a hassle. I really don't understand why they didn't just print a second book in English or something, or do like a multi-language edition or something like that. It seems like it could have been done, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what the deal was with this whole game and why it took forever to come out in English, and then it didn't include a solo mode, even though you thought it was going to. There was a lot of different things around here, which I think the publisher just really didn't care about the regional editions or helping out people who don't speak German. And it was very clear in this expansion that they just published this one, although they could have easily, I think. What do I know? I don't know. But anyway, I made the leap. I'm dealing with some of the weird, funky translations to try to figure it out, and it's worth it for me. But it's not going to be worth it for everybody. If you like that base game and you really wanted to play it solo, and you'd want to put in some more ways to solve the puzzle, this is what you want to do. Find yourself a copy, hopefully on Amazon or some way to get it at a reasonable price. But it is not going to blow you away either if you didn't enjoy the base game. So I'm looking forward to trying all the scenarios, although I think I'm going to try them all, whether I win or lose. I'm just going to go on to the next one just to experience them, because I don't know. I mean, maybe then I'll go back and try to beat each one. They're not easy. They're definitely not easy. And the beat your own score is fun in its own right, and just its own way to do some different strategies, which I think is cool. And I've always enjoyed the industrial sandbox that this game is. So this is for me, and hopefully you know whether it is for you or not. So thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it, everybody. And whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy.